The HOA president poured gasoline on my car and lit a match. She didn't know my pregnant wife was sleeping inside. The explosion changed everything. Karen thought her lawyer husband would save her. She had no idea I'm a federal prosecutor. Now I'll destroy her completely. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching, also like and subscribe for more stories. The smell hit me first. Gasoline. Strong and sharp, cutting through the night air. I was in my home office on the second floor, working late on a case, when the window suddenly blazed orange. Then came the explosion, a deep, bone-shaking boom that rattled every window in our house. My blood turned to ice. Sarah. I screamed, dropping everything and running for the stairs. My wife. My pregnant wife. She'd been tired after dinner, said she was going to rest in the car for a bit because the seats were more comfortable than our couch for her back pain. 8 months pregnant with our first child, and she'd wanted to listen to music in the car while I finished work. The car that was now engulfed in flames in our driveway. Sarah. No. I hit the front door at a dead run, my heart hammering so hard I thought it would explode. Sarah. The heat hit me like a wall. Our Honda was completely on fire, flames shooting 15 feet into the air. Black smoke poured into the night sky. And through the driver's side window, oh God, I could see her silhouette, unmoving. I ran toward the car, but the heat drove me back. I tried again, got closer, reached for the door handle. The metal seared my palm. I screamed but didn't let go. The handle wouldn't budge. Locked or melted shut, I couldn't tell. Help. Somebody help. I roared into the night. My wife is in there. Through the flames, through the smoke, I saw movement. Sarah was awake, screaming, trapped. Her fists pounded against the window. The glass was too hot to break from outside without tools. I'm coming, baby. Hold on. I ran to the garage, grabbed a crowbar, ran back. The flames were worse now. Sarah's screams cut through everything, high and terrified and desperate. I swung the crowbar at the window. Once. Twice. The glass cracked. Third hit, it shattered inward. Flames licked out at me, but I didn't care. Sarah. Give me your hand. She reached through the broken window, her sleeve on fire. I grabbed her arm and pulled with everything I had. She was screaming, in pain, in terror. The seatbelt was stuck. Melted or jammed, I couldn't tell. I reached in with the crowbar, felt the heat searing my arm, found the seatbelt and pried at it. The metal glowed red hot. My skin was burning, but I didn't stop. The belt released. I pulled Sarah through the window. Her clothes were smoking. Her hair had been singed. Her hands and arms were burned. But she was out. She was alive. We collapsed on the lawn 10 feet away just as the car's gas tank exploded, sending a fireball into the sky. I rolled Sarah on the grass, putting out the last of the flames on her clothes. She was sobbing, gasping, her hands cradling her stomach. The baby, she choked out. Michael, the baby. That's when I saw the blood. Dark and spreading across her dress. No. No, no, no. I pressed my hands to her stomach, trying to stop the bleeding. Someone call 911. Neighbors were running out of their houses now. Someone was shouting that they'd called emergency services. But all I could see was Sarah's pale face, her terrified eyes, the blood that wouldn't stop. Stay with me, baby, I begged. You and our daughter, you both stay with me. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Cold and cruel, cutting through the chaos. I looked up to see her. Linda Martinez, our HOA president. Standing at the edge of her lawn across the street. Watching. Not helping. Not calling for help. Laughing. She had a phone in her hand, filming. Actually filming my wife dying on our lawn. Our eyes met across the distance. She smiled. Actually smiled. Then she turned and walked into her house like nothing had happened. Something snapped inside me. Something cold and dark and absolutely merciless. Linda Martinez had just tried to murder my wife and unborn child. She had no idea who she was dealing with. My name is Michael Torres. I'm a federal prosecutor. I've put away murderers, terrorists, and crime bosses. I've never lost a case. And now Linda Martinez had just become my next target. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics worked frantically on Sarah. I rode with her, holding her hand, my burned palm screaming in pain, but I didn't care. Sir, your hand needs treatment, a paramedic started. I don't care about my hand. Save my wife. Save my baby. Sarah's eyes fluttered open. Michael. I'm here. I'm right here. I was sleeping. Suddenly there was fire everywhere. I couldn't get out. The doors wouldn't open. Tears streamed down her face. Someone locked me in. Someone did this on purpose. My jaw clenched. I know. I know who did it. At the hospital, they rushed Sarah into emergency surgery. The baby was in distress. Sarah had second-degree burns on her arms and hands, smoke inhalation, and she was bleeding internally. I stood outside the operating room, my burned hand finally being treated by a nurse, my mind racing with rage and grief and the absolute need for justice. Detective James Park arrived an hour later. We'd worked together on several cases. He was a good cop. Honest. Thorough. Michael, what happened? I told him everything. The gasoline smell. The explosion. Finding Sarah trapped. Linda Martinez watching and laughing and filming. Linda Martinez from your HOA? James's face darkened. The lawyer's wife? Attorney David Martinez's wife, yeah. Real estate lawyer. Connected. Thinks she's untouchable. My voice was flat, deadly calm. She set fire to my car with my pregnant wife inside. Why would she do that? The parking dispute. It's been going on for 2 months. It had started so small. So stupid. We'd bought our house in Riverside Meadows 6 months ago. Beautiful gated community. Strict HOA rules, but we could handle that. We were careful to follow everything. Except Linda Martinez decided our car was parked too close to the property line. 6 inches over, she claimed. I'd measured, we were well within our boundary. But Linda was HOA president, and what she said was law in Riverside Meadows. She'd left notes on our windshield. Move your car or face fines. I'd ignored them. We were legally parked on our own property. Then came the fines. $50. Then $100. Then $500. I'd gone to the HOA meeting to dispute them. Linda had smiled sweetly and said, "Rules are rules, Mr. Torres. Your car is illegally parked. Pay your fines or face further action. My car is on my property within my property lines. Not according to the HOA survey." Then show me the survey. She couldn't. Because it didn't exist. She was making it up, wielding her power because she enjoyed it. Other neighbors had whispered to me after the meeting. Linda did this to everyone. Found minor violations, and fined people into submission. Anyone who fought back faced escalating harassment. She keyed my car, one neighbor told me. Slashed my tires. I have no proof, but I know it was her. She filed false complaints with the city about my fence, another said. Cost me thousands in legal fees to fight it. Linda Martinez was a bully with power. And she targeted anyone who dared to stand up to her. I'd stood up to her. Refused to pay the bogus fines. Filed a formal complaint with the HOA board, which was stacked with her friends and family. Last week, she'd confronted me in my driveway. You think you're special? She'd hissed. You think being a prosecutor means you can ignore HOA rules? I think being a prosecutor means I know when someone is abusing their authority. Back off, Linda. Her face had twisted with rage. You have no idea who you're dealing with. My husband will destroy you in court. I'll make your life hell. You'll regret ever moving to this neighborhood. Is that a threat? She'd smiled coldly. It's a promise. 3 days later, someone had spray-painted "Move Your CR asshole" across our garage door. 2 days after that, our trash cans were knocked over every morning. Yesterday, Sarah had found a note on our door. Final warning. Move the car or face consequences. We'd laughed it off. Reported it to the police, but they said without proof there was nothing they could do. Tonight, Linda had delivered on her promise. She'd poured gasoline on our car and set it on fire. With Sarah inside. 4 hours. Sarah was in surgery for 4 hours. My mother and sister had arrived. My partner from work, Agent Rodriguez. James Park had stayed, taking my statement, sending officers to collect evidence from the scene. Finally, Dr. Chin emerged from the operating room. His face was grave. Your wife is alive, he said, and I felt my knees weaken with relief. But, that word, but, hit me like a bullet. The baby? I whispered. Dr. Chen's eyes filled with sympathy. I'm so sorry. The trauma was too severe. We couldn't save her. Your daughter, she didn't make it. The world tilted. My daughter. My little girl. Gone. Sarah? I managed to choke out. Does she know? Not yet. She's sedated. When she wakes up, Dr. Chin paused. She's going to need you, Michael. The physical trauma was severe, but this loss, this will break her. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My daughter was dead. My wife was devastated. And Linda Martinez had done this. Can I see Sarah? Yes. But Michael, your hand. You need surgery too. The burns are severe. After I see Sarah. They led me to her room. She looked so small in the hospital bed. Bandages on her arms and hands. Oxygen tube in her nose. Monitors beeping steadily. I sat beside her and took her unburned hand carefully in mine. Tears streamed down my face. "I'm so sorry, baby," I whispered. "I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. Couldn't protect our daughter." Sarah's eyes fluttered open. "Michael, I'm here." She looked at me and I saw the question in her eyes. The hope. The fear. I couldn't speak. Just shook my head, tears falling. "No." Her voice broke. "No, please. Please tell me she's okay." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Sarah's scream tore through the room. Through my heart. Through everything. She screamed and sobbed and I held her as carefully as I could, both of us breaking apart. Our daughter was gone. And Linda Martinez had murdered her. I had surgery on my hand the next morning. Second-degree burns requiring skin grafts. They said I might lose some mobility. I didn't care. While I was in recovery, James Park was working the scene. He called me that afternoon with the evidence. "Michael, it's definitely arson. We found a gas can in Linda Martinez's garage, still has gasoline residue, and her fingerprints are all over it. We also found her footprints near your car, made with gasoline on her shoes. She tracked it back to her house." "That's not all," James continued. "We pulled security footage from your neighbor's Ring camera. It shows everything." "Show me." "You're in a hospital bed." "Show me." He pulled up the video on his phone. I watched in silent rage. The timestamp showed 10:47 p.m. Linda Martinez, wearing dark clothes, walking across the street carrying a gas can. Looking around to make sure no one was watching. Approaching our car. Opening the driver's door, Sarah must have left it unlocked. Then Linda's face changed. She'd seen Sarah sleeping in the reclined seat. For a moment she hesitated. Then, and this made my blood boil, she carefully closed the door and locked it from the outside with a tool, trapping Sarah inside. She walked around the car, pouring gasoline over it. Over the windows. The doors. Making sure it would all burn. Then she pulled out a lighter. Stood there for a moment looking at the car. Knowing Sarah was inside. Knowing she was about to commit murder. She lit the gasoline. Watched the flames spread. Watched them engulf the car. Took out her phone and started filming. The camera caught her laughter as the car exploded. Caught her smile as I ran out screaming. Caught her filming Sarah's desperate attempt to escape. "She knew," I said quietly. "She saw Sarah in the car. Locked her in deliberately. Tried to burn her alive." "Attempted murder," James confirmed. "Premeditated." We also found text messages on her phone to her husband. "Taking care of the Torres problem tonight. That car will never park there again." "Where is she now?" "In custody. Arrested this morning. Her lawyer husband is already making noise about bail, about his connections." "No bail." My voice was steel. "I want her charged federally. This was attempted murder of a federal prosecutor's family. That makes it a federal crime. I want the full weight of the federal justice system on her." James nodded slowly. "I'll make the calls." Sarah was in the hospital for a week. The physical wounds would heal. The emotional ones might never would. She barely spoke. Barely ate. Just lay there, one hand always on her stomach where our daughter had been. "We were going to name her Sophia," Sarah whispered one night. "I had the nursery all planned. Pink and yellow. With butterflies on the walls." I held her hand. "I know. I felt her moving that morning. She was so active. So alive." Sarah's tears fell silently. "And now she's gone. Our Sophia is gone. Linda Martinez will pay for this," I promised. "I swear to you she will pay for every second of pain she's caused us." Sarah looked at me with hollow eyes. "Will that bring Sophia back?" "No. But it will give us justice. And it will make sure she never hurts anyone else." The next day the hospital counselor came by. Sarah refused to see her. Refused all help. The grief was consuming her, and I felt helpless watching her disappear into it. My mother stayed with us trying to help, but what could anyone do? Our daughter was dead. Our future had been stolen. And the woman who did it was sitting in a jail cell with her high-priced lawyer, probably confident she'd get out soon. She had no idea what was coming. I worked from Sarah's hospital room. My burned hand was healing, but I could still type, could still make calls, could still build the case that would destroy Linda Martinez. My colleague, Assistant U.S. Attorney Rachel Kim, helped me compile everything. "This is solid, Michael," Rachel said, reviewing the evidence. "The security footage alone is damning. She locked Sarah in the car. That's premeditated attempted murder. What about the murder charge? For Sophia? Rachel's face fell. Legally it's complicated. Some states recognize fetal homicide, but federally. Find a way. I wasn't asking. My daughter was murdered. I want Linda Martinez charged with her murder. I'll research it. There might be a path through the Unborn Victims of Violence Act. Over the next few days we built an ironclad case. The gas can with Linda's prints. The security footage showing premeditation. The text messages proving intent. The witness statements from neighbors who'd heard Linda threaten us. The documented history of HOA harassment. We also found something else, Linda's medical records obtained through a warrant. Michael, you need to see this, Rachel said quietly. Linda Martinez has a documented history of psychiatric issues. Narcissistic personality disorder. Violent tendencies. She's been hospitalized twice for assault. Once she attacked a restaurant server who got her order wrong. Her husband covered it up? Paid settlements. Sealed records. Used his legal connections to bury everything. Rachel looked at me. She's been a ticking time bomb for years. And your parking dispute was just the trigger. Linda Martinez's arraignment was a media circus. Federal attempted murder charges against an HOA president who tried to burn a pregnant woman alive? The press ate it up. I sat in the front row, Sarah beside me in a wheelchair. She'd insisted on coming, though she was still weak, still grieving, still barely holding herself together. Linda was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, her lawyer David beside her, looking smug and confident. When Linda saw us, her face twisted with rage. She actually started to smile, like this was all a game to her. The judge, Judge Patricia Morrison, known for her no-nonsense approach, read the charges. Linda Martinez, you are charged with attempted murder of Sarah Torres, attempted murder of Michael Torres, first-degree arson, and under the Unborn Victims of Violence Act, the murder of Sophia Torres. Linda's smile vanished. What? No, that's not. Be quiet, David hissed at his wife. How do you plead? Judge Morrison asked. Not guilty, Your Honor, David stood. And we move for immediate bail. My client has no prior record, is a pillar of the community. Your client tried to burn a pregnant woman alive. I stood up, my voice cutting through the courtroom. She locked the victim in a car, poured gasoline on it and lit it on fire. The victim's unborn child died as a result. This was premeditated, calculated murder. Judge Morrison looked at me. Mr. Torres, you're the victim in this case. You shouldn't be speaking. I'm also a federal prosecutor, Your Honor. And I'm asking this court to deny bail. The evidence shows clear premeditation, extreme violence and absolute lack of remorse. The defendant filmed the attack on her phone. She laughed while my wife burned. The judge turned to David. Is this true? Did your client film the incident? David's face had gone pale. Your Honor, I... Yes or no, counselor? The video has been taken out of context. I'll take that as a yes. Judge Morrison's voice was ice. Bail denied. The defendant will remain in custody until trial. Your Honor, that's outrageous. David shouted. My wife has rights. Your wife tried to murder 2 people and succeeded in killing an unborn child. She's exactly where she belongs. The judge banged her gavel. We're adjourned. As they led Linda away, she looked back at me with pure hatred. You're going to regret this. My husband will destroy you. I met her eyes, and my voice was quiet but carried across the courtroom. Your husband couldn't protect you from what you did. And nothing will protect you from what I'm going to do to you in court. Sarah was released from the hospital 2 weeks later. Physically healing but emotionally destroyed. We'd buried our daughter, a tiny casket that should never have existed. Sarah had barely made it through the funeral. Now she spent her days in Sophia's nursery, sitting in the rocking chair we'd bought, surrounded by the butterfly decorations we'd never get to show our daughter. I had to leave her to prepare for trial, and it tore me apart. But this trial was how I could give her justice. How I could make Linda Martinez pay. The trial started 3 weeks after the attack. The courtroom was packed. Media everywhere. Neighbors from Riverside Meadows who'd finally found the courage to speak out against Linda. My opening statement was personal and devastating. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, on the night of March 15th, Linda Martinez made a decision. She decided that her petty HOA dispute was worth more than human life. She decided that her need for control, for power, for revenge was worth killing for. I pulled up a photo of Sarah, 8 months pregnant, glowing and happy. This is Sarah Torres. 8 months pregnant with our daughter, Sophia. Happy. Healthy. Excited to become a mother. Another photo. Sarah in the hospital, burned, broken, our daughter gone. This is Sarah Torres 12 hours later. Second-degree burns. Trauma so severe she lost our baby. All because Linda Martinez decided to pour gasoline on our car and light it on fire. With Sarah inside. I let that sink in. The defense will try to paint this as a tragic accident. They'll say Linda didn't know Sarah was in the car. But you'll see the security footage. You'll see Linda open the car door. See her spot Sarah sleeping inside. See her deliberately lock the door, trapping her. See her pour gasoline over every window, every door, making sure the fire would consume everything. See her light it with a smile on her face. I turned to the jury. This wasn't an accident. This was attempted murder. And it resulted in the death of my daughter, Sofia Torres, who never got to take her first breath because Linda Martinez valued her HOA power more than human life. David Martinez's defense was pathetic. He tried to claim Linda was having a mental health crisis, that she didn't understand what she was doing. But the evidence destroyed him. The security footage played on screens throughout the courtroom. Every juror watched in horror as Linda deliberately locked Sarah in the car, poured gasoline and lit it. The audio caught Linda's laughter as the car exploded. Caught her saying to herself, "That'll teach them to cross me." Sarah testified, and it broke my heart to watch her relive it. I woke up surrounded by fire, she said, her voice hollow. The doors wouldn't open. I was trapped. I could feel the heat getting worse. I couldn't breathe. I was screaming for help, pounding on the windows, and all I could think was that my baby was going to die. That I was going to die. And no one was coming. She looked directly at Linda. I saw you through the flames. You were watching. You were smiling. You had your phone out, filming me dying. And you did nothing to help. Linda actually rolled her eyes. Actually showed complete indifference to Sarah's pain. Several jurors saw it. Their faces hardened. The neighbors testified about Linda's reign of terror in the HOA. The fines, the harassment, the threats. She told me she'd burn my house down if I didn't vote for her for HOA president, one neighbor testified. I thought she was joking. Now I know she meant it. The fire investigator confirmed arson. The forensic analyst confirmed Linda's fingerprints on the gas can and the lighter. The phone records showed her text to her husband, "Taking care of the Torres problem tonight." David tried to spin it. My client was referring to filing a formal complaint. By burning their car with a pregnant woman inside? I shot back. That's quite a complaint. The medical examiner testified about Sofia's death. The trauma to the mother caused placental abruption. The baby's oxygen was cut off. She died before she could be delivered. Sarah sobbed quietly. I held her hand. Finally, we played Linda's own video. The one she'd filmed on her phone. The courtroom watched Linda filming Sarah's desperate attempts to escape, heard Linda's voice saying, "Burn, you stupid bitch. Maybe next time you'll follow the rules." The jury looked sick. In my closing argument, I spoke directly to them. Linda Martinez valued power over life. Control over compassion. Revenge over humanity. She saw my wife in that car. She locked her in. She lit the fire. She filmed it. She laughed. And my daughter died because of it. I held up a photo of the tiny butterfly mobile we'd bought for Sofia's nursery. Sofia Torres never got to see this. Never got to hear her mother's voice. Never got to feel the sun on her face. Because Linda Martinez decided that an HOA parking dispute was worth murder. I looked at Linda, who stared back with cold indifference. The defense wants you to believe this was a mental health crisis. An accident. A mistake. But you've seen the evidence. You've heard the testimony. You've watched Linda Martinez deliberately, calculatedly, joyfully try to murder my wife and succeeding in murdering my daughter. I turned back to the jury. Give us justice. Give Sofia justice. Find Linda Martinez guilty of every charge. Show her, show everyone, that no amount of power, no HOA presidency, no lawyer husband can protect you when you choose murder. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty. On every single count. The sentencing hearing was 4 weeks later. Sarah was doing slightly better. Therapy was helping, though she said the grief would never fully go away. I'd written a victim impact statement, but Sarah insisted on reading it herself. She stood at the podium, still thin and pale, but her voice was steady. Linda Martinez took everything from me. She took my daughter. She took my sense of safety. She took my ability to trust. She took my joy. Sarah's hands trembled, but she continued. Sofia would have been 3 months old now. I would have been changing her diapers, feeding her, watching her discover the world. Instead, I visit a tiny grave and wonder what she would have looked like. What her laugh would have sounded like. What her future could have been. She looked at Linda, who stared back with bored indifference. You feel nothing, do you? No remorse. No guilt. No humanity. You murdered my daughter over a parking space. You tried to burn me alive over 6 inches of property line. And you'd do it again if you could. Sarah's voice broke. I hope you spend every day in prison thinking about what you took from me. From Michael. From Sophia. I hope it haunts you. And I hope you never ever feel free again. The judge, Judge Morrison, looked at Linda with undisguised contempt. Mrs. Martinez, in my 25 years on the bench, I have never seen such callous disregard for human life. You deliberately tried to murder a pregnant woman. You succeeded in murdering her unborn child. You showed no remorse, no empathy, no recognition of the devastation you caused. Linda's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client suffers from mental health issues. Your client is a murderer. Judge Morrison cut him off. Mental health issues don't excuse locking a pregnant woman in a car and setting it on fire. She turned to Linda. Linda Martinez, I hereby sentence you to life in prison without possibility of parole for the murder of Sofia Torres. Additionally, you will serve consecutive sentences of 25 years for attempted murder of Sarah Torres, 25 years for attempted murder of Michael Torres, and 15 years for arson. You will never walk free again. The courtroom erupted. Linda's face went white. David started shouting about appeals. But it was over. Linda Martinez would die in prison for what she did to our family. Sarah stood in the cemetery, placing fresh butterflies on Sophia's grave. It was our daughter's 5th birthday, the birthday she should have been celebrating with cake and presents and laughter. Instead, we stood here, remembering the daughter we'd never gotten to know. I still miss her every day, Sarah said quietly. Still wonder who she would have been. Me too, I said, wrapping my arm around her. Sarah leaned against me. But I'm not drowning anymore. The grief isn't swallowing me whole. It had taken years. Therapy. Support groups. Time. But slowly, Sarah had found her way back from the darkness. We'd moved away from Riverside Meadows. Bought a small house across town with no HOA, no rules, no Linda Martinez. Sarah had started a foundation, Sophia's Hope, to support families who'd lost children to violence. She'd found purpose in her pain. I'd continued prosecuting cases, but with a new fire. Every victim I fought for Sophia too. There's something I need to tell you, Sarah said, taking my hand and placing it on her stomach. My heart stopped. Sarah? I'm pregnant. 12 weeks. I didn't want to say anything until we were sure, but tears filled her eyes, but this time they were different. Hopeful. We're going to have another baby. I pulled her close, my own tears falling. Sophia would have been a wonderful big sister. She still will be, Sarah whispered. We'll tell this baby all about her. About the sister she never got to meet. About how brave their mother is. About how justice was served. We stood there, holding each other, Sophia's butterfly decorations fluttering in the breeze above her grave. Linda Martinez had tried to destroy us. Had murdered our daughter and nearly killed my wife. But we'd survived. We'd fought back. We'd won. And now we were building a future. One that honored Sophia's memory while embracing new hope. As we walked back to the car, Sarah paused and looked back at Sophia's grave. We love you, baby girl. Always and forever. Always and forever, I echoed. Linda Martinez was rotting in prison. Our family was healing. And Sophia's memory lived on, not in the violence that took her, but in the love that remained. That was justice. That was healing. That was our victory over the monster who tried to take everything from us.